Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Steph,
I'm Rachel.
and welcome to the Ginger Snap.
Take two.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, now that we've successfully made 95% of our audience change the channel, welcome to those of you who are brave enough to be here right now, experiencing episode 1 with us.
We're just as confused as you are.
Yeah. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm Stephanie.
I'm
This
Rachel.
is my best friend Rachel, and we
You keep laughing, and I'm gonna keep
damn
laughing.
it! I
This is
had
like
this
a
whole thing
vicious
planned out, and
cycle.
I'm drawing a blank because I made myself laugh with a stupid tongue
Okay,
twister.
so just episode 1 of navigating life with bipolar disorder or mental illness in general.
Borderline personality disorder, major depressive
Anxiety,
disorder,
depression, PTSD,
PTSD,
all the things.
all the things, just check all the boxes. Everyone is welcome here.
Yeah, no judgment.
This is a judgment-free zone. Little disclaimer, we are not medical professionals. We're not mental health professionals.
Nope.
We are two friends who are navigating life and all of the twists and turns and ups and downs that come along with it.
We both come from different backgrounds, although the similarities, it's uncanny just how similar we are, but being, born in the same decade, but there's, where was I going with that?
We're same, but different.
Yeah.
Comparing contrast.
I totally had, my mind went completely blank.
That's okay. We're figuring this out. Bear with us.
It's going to be a lot of bumps along the way.
Yeah. A lot of bloopers, a lot of, whatever.
Real raw and vulnerable.
In a year, once we are pros at this, we're going to look back at this and we're just going to crack up and be like, wow,
we're going to laugh our asses off.
Yeah. Oh, we will. We will. So let's get into it. I have a few diagnoses. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder when I was in high school, when I was 16. I had anxiety, but didn't really recognize it as anxiety. I don't know. I guess the way I grew up in my household, like this stuff wasn't really talked about, and anxiety wasn't really believed in. So this was just kind of all like a taboo subject. I didn't really start really paying attention to mental health until I was older. I was like in my late 20s. I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2 when I was 21. I had had a lot of ups and downs, seen a therapist on and off from the ages of 16 up until 21 when I got my diagnosis. Continued with therapy for a while. Came to later on be diagnosed with PTSD due to various life experiences and borderline personality disorder. So it's been interesting to kind of look back on my life kind of before I had a support system, and to be able to kind of pick out like, okay, I was going through that. I did these things and that was because of this, and this, once I really kind of came to terms with it, I had to really come to a place of self-acceptance with it, especially with my bipolar. I can look back on really from mainly the ages of like 16 till 24. I think I was 24 when I really actually started researching it. So I got the diagnosis and I ignored it for a few solid years. And it wasn't until I got pregnant with my daughter when I was 24 that I kind of started taking myself a little more seriously, obviously, because I was going to, become a mom. And so I decided like, I need to look into this and learn about it and understand it and come to terms with it and figure out some coping skills so I can kind of, get myself together. And, yeah, been through the therapy off and on ever since up until about the last year. Um, and yeah, just kind of figuring it out. I've done a lot of healing, which we'll get into, details later on in later episodes. But yeah, I've come a long way, I would say, since my 20s. I am 36 now, by the way, if that gives anyone any context. So from the past 15 years when I got an official diagnosis of my bipolar till now, it's been a long road, but I learned a lot.
I've been able to see your growth too.
Thank you.
If y'all were just new to us and just stumble across our page, Steph and I, yes, we are friends, but we've never met in person. We've followed each other since, like, if y'all remember MySpace.
Mm-hmm. I was 17 and I'm about to be 37 in December. So that's almost 20 years of friendship, and we have never seen each other in person. We have FaceTimed. We started back on AIM, the instant messaging back in the day. Then Facebook came along, and Messenger and all that, and then Messenger video and stuff. And yeah,
it's in the works. There's plans to meet, obviously, but
right. Yep. We have secret plans that we, not really secret, but like surprise plans in store for you guys in the upcoming year. So there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff happening.
I'm excited for the next year, honestly. Just
I am too.
Like you said, we're going to look back at this episode in a year and just laugh about it. But I'm really, really excited, because if this helps just one person, I feel like our job is done.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll help more than one person, but yes,
I for sure. Yeah. But to me, it's worth it.
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
And my journey is very similar to yours. I know I have some followers come from my page that I've had for the last year, documenting my whole journey since my diagnosis, but really it just started when I was around 11.
Okay.
And back then they called it manic depression, which now is known as bipolar type 2.
Yes.
But the same way you grew up, I wouldn't say it was really thought of as taboo, but there really wasn't a follow through.
Mm-hmm.
It was more, I learned at a young age how to manipulate to get what I wanted. So if there was a time that, I spent some time in the hospital, and I knew exactly what to tell them to get out, because I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know even what I was feeling. Like I just felt numb. And even to this day, that's the only way I know how to describe it. I'd lost 2 grandparents at a very young age. And I didn't know how to get closure from that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to voice what I was feeling, because I didn't know what I was feeling.
Right. Yes.
And
yes.
And therapy wasn't a thing. There were no check-ins with family. How do you feel today? Are you doing okay? There was none of that.
Mm-hmm.
There was support, and I knew that, okay, if I needed a hug, I could go to somebody, But as far as sitting down and talking about feelings, I literally pushed everybody away, closed everybody off. I isolated myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. When I had that hospital stay, I think I went to 2 therapy sessions after I got discharged. 6 months later, I told my mom, I don't want to be on this medicine. I stopped it.
Yeah.
I was allowed to, you know. And then in the teenage years, things really spiraled. I don't know that I'm at a point in my journey that I really want to share everything. One, because the behavior is embarrassing, you know, and I think that's really important for people to know that it's okay to not talk about everything. You don't have to. You know, it was really important for me in therapy to have somebody validate my feelings. Maybe one day, just not today. But there was definitely self-harm involved in all of that. Thankfully, I wasn't successful.
Right.
I'm glad my story is not over. I'm glad I'm still here, and I can talk about that and help other people. And then I wasn't diagnosed, you know, formally with bipolar type 2 until last year at 39. So 16 years old was really when everything fully manifested.
Yep. See, this is how we're similar, because me too. I was 16 when I finally went to therapy, and it was, you know, and I had started asking, I think when I was about 12, if I could please have a counselor. And my mother, and I use that term lightly, I might discuss that later on, I don't know, she laughed at me. And it took 4 more years. It took a doctor's appointment, just like a regular, like a routine checkup, where I was getting like a flu shot. I don't know. I don't remember. But it was just like a regular doctor's checkup. Like nothing major had happened. But I ended up talking to her about how I was feeling, and my mood swings and my up and downs and all of this. And she told my mother, like, I know a really good therapist, and you know, that I can recommend. And luckily, that was finally set up, and I was able to start therapy. But that was really when a lot of my issues came to a boiling point, was at that age too. Because up till that point, like, I had no one validating my feelings. I was constantly told, you're not looking at things the right way. You know, what if that person knew that you felt this way? How do you think that would make them feel? Well, I'm not responsible for their reaction to my feelings. If something is affecting me negatively, I have every right to say it. And I was still a child at that point too. I wasn't really allowed to express myself, so I never learned how to properly do that, or how to properly regulate my emotions, you know. And I was just, everything was just kind of blown off when I would get upset, and I would be in my room and I would be crying, and then I would come out and still be upset, and it wasn't really acknowledged. Thus, my BPD manifested, you know, and that I didn't even get diagnosed with until my mid 20s. So yeah, 21 with bipolar, and then it wasn't for like maybe 4 more years when BPD came into the picture, when that was kind of introduced to me, because I had never heard of that before. And luckily, it's been talked about a lot more since. It just kind of, I don't know, the recognition with it, I guess, has really skyrocketed, which is good, because that breaks the stigma.
I've noticed that too, a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure.
I just can't get
Like,
over how similar we grew up,
I know. It's why I'm just sitting
and
here thinking about that. Like, wow, the
you know,
similarities are so
with
crazy.
again, I don't want to say too much, but like the parental or the roles reversed. It was your mom for you, it was my dad for me, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, nobody's perfect. I've not been the perfect mom. Nobody's the perfect
No,
parent.
I'm not either. I try though.
And I feel like I'm just as much at fault in some things as anybody else. Um, but I think the approach could have been done a lot differently. But then again, I didn't even know what was wrong, so I couldn't vocalize what I was feeling, what I needed, because I didn't know.
Right. Exactly. And when
You
you
know,
don't know, and when you're young and you're growing up and experiencing all these things in life for the first time, and then you have this added complication. I don't know if that would be the right word, but for lack
mm-hmm.
of a better term, right now you've got all these mental health issues developing, coming into play, and then you don't know how to navigate that either. And then when you don't have that validated, or you don't at least have, people around you, adults who should be saying like, okay, well, we'll figure this out. Like, even if they didn't know what was going on, like, we will do what we can to figure it out. I didn't have that. I just got like, you're just a spoiled brat. You are so immature. You're so
Yep.
dramatic. Like, yeah, because I don't know how to handle any of this, because I don't know what's going on with me. I'm trying to express myself to you, but I'm not learning how, because you're not properly showing me by example. You're not trying to really help me. You're just, and then once I did start therapy, the attitude towards it was just kind of like, she's dramatic, just fix it,
Or ignore it.
fix
It'll
it,
go
or
away.
yeah. I mean, it was just like, fix it. And then I'd have these issues at home because of all the adults that I was surrounded by that should have been helping me, that probably needed to go to therapy themselves. And then they would tell me, well, your therapy's not helping. You don't, I don't think you should go anymore. It's a waste of time. Yeah, it was rough. It
I don't
was
even know
my
what to
teenage
say.
years were,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that was a rough time for me too, between, both of my grandparents passing away. The transition into middle school alone is hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then to add 2 deaths within 2 years on top of that, and being bullied in
Mm-hmm.
school, it's just like everything was just piling up, and you don't know how to process any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd had, even before my grandpa died, I'd been to other family members' funerals. It wasn't my first time, but it was the first person that I was really close to.
Yep.
And with my faith, I knew, where he was. I knew that this life is not the end.
Mm-hmm.
But still, not being able to see him every weekend, going to the house, and him not being there, seeing his seat empty on the couch, seeing his house shoes still tucked up underneath the coffee table. And that was
Yeah.
hard. That was very, very hard. And I don't know about your grandparents, but mine both set for the type that they had separate bedrooms. My grandmother slept in one room and he slept in another. And I couldn't go in his bedroom for the longest time. Couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can relate, because my parents got divorced when I was only a year and a half. I have no memories of my parents actually being together. And my mother and I moved back in with her parents. So my maternal grandparents basically helped raise me. And we literally lived with them until my grandfather passed away 10 days after my 14th birthday. And my grandmother passed away right at the beginning of my senior year of high school. So I was 14 and 17 when I lost them. And I lived with them until they both passed away. From before I could even remember. I wasn't even 2 yet when we moved in with them. So they were like a second set of parents for me, you know. And I still saw my dad on, you know, on a regular basis. It's not like I, you know, didn't have my dad around. They were just, my parents were divorced. But yeah, my grandparents were, and especially my grandmother and I, we clashed a lot. Our personalities did not mesh well at all, but I loved my grandpa. He was my favorite person, still is. Besides my kids, my favorite person ever that I've had in my life. You know, and to lose him like that. And my birthday is exactly 2 weeks before Christmas. So my birthday is December 11th. He passed away on December 21st. And we buried him Christmas Eve. So
Oh, wow.
that was a rough time. So yeah, barely 14 when I lost him, and then 17 when I lost, you know, my grandmother. And we that was super complicated, but still I mean, you live with someone from the age of a year and a half to 17, and then all of a sudden they're not there anymore. It's still, you know, when it's such an abrupt thing. With her, it was more abrupt. With my grandpa, it was a little more long and drawn out, a little more complicated there. But yeah, with her, it was super abrupt. It was all of a sudden like she was there, and then like a few days later, she was gone.
That was my
So
grandpa.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was 11. He went into the hospital, had a heart attack, and the next day he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then my grandmother passed away when I was 18. She held on long enough to watch all of her grandkids graduate high school.
Okay.
So
yeah. Yeah. Rough stuff. So yeah, when you go through all that at a young age, and then you don't realize how it's affecting your mental health, and
no, not at
your
all.
brain is still developing, and then you don't have the proper guidance.
Or the people that are supposed to guide you, they don't even have an understanding.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. That can result in a rough time. Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I feel like we need to lighten up the mood a little bit.
I know. I was just thinking that, like, wow, this conversation took a turn that we did not plan on. But hey, that's
really, really deep.
This
but apparently
podcast is organic. We're not polished right now, and we're not. This isn't staged. We're like literally just having a conversation, which is what I mean. We want it authentic. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't know why we start filming. I have all this stuff in my head, and I'm like, ooh, I want to say this, and I want to mention this, and then we start filming, and it's like,
it just goes out the window. It's like, what?
Yeah, like where was I going with this? What did I want to bring up?
That's the ADHD. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I guess what kind of coping skills do you use, or what kind of resources? Is there anything like when you're having a rough day and you're like, no, like I've got stuff I need to do. I need to pull myself out of this. Like, what kind of things do you use to sort of?
My grandson, 100%.
I'm sure.
All he has to do
I knew
is
that was going to be your first answer.
All he has to do is look at me and smile. I'm fortunate enough, guess in some ways, that they live with us. So I get to see him every day, and that's very helpful. Otherwise, I would just bed rot.
Yeah.
I really hate admitting that, but doom scrolling in bed rot. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even Netflix or anything like that. I just
Right.
scroll and nap.
Scroll.
I know that when, like we were talking earlier, I kind of had a miniature crash out today because of some things that happened. And typically when I can feel them coming on, and a lot of times a nap will make it feel better. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, I can get back up and
Sometimes you
do what
need
needs to
one.
be done. But definitely sleep always makes it better.
Yeah.
But then again, it also can make it worse too.
It depends on the situation, and if
So
you, I mean, sometimes we genuinely need the sleep. Like if
yep,
you're well rested, it makes a huge difference on your mental health. I
it
was just
does.
talking to my son about this the other day. No, I was talking to my daughter about it. I've talked to my son about it. Both of my kids, though. I've tried to really stress. But yeah, I was just talking to my daughter about it a couple nights ago. I'm like, you need to get a good night's sleep because it's going to make a world of difference in your mood at school tomorrow and your focus and your concentration, and you're just going to have a way better chance of having a better day overall
Yeah.
in every aspect if you're well rested. On the other hand, if you sleep too much due to depression, that can really
Yes.
feed the beast.
That was me in high school. I used to hear all the time, "You're going to sleep your life away."
Yes. Oh, I heard that same thing. I
Yeah.
heard that same thing.
Yeah. It's 12 o'clock. Why are you still in bed? You've got stuff to
Yeah.
do. Come on, get up. And oh my gosh.
Yep. Yep. She's banging on
I
that.
was a
Get
hard,
up.
yes. If you don't get up, I'm going to pour water on you. I'm like, oh God,
Uh-huh.
okay, fine. Drag myself out of bed. But yeah, and I don't know. That was around the time that, my grandpa's died.
Yeah.
So I just slept all the time. I was constantly faking being sick. I didn't want to go to school. Hey mom, I have a stomach ache. I don't want to go to school. Okay, go back to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I got good at playing the pity card.
Yeah. I think we're all guilty of that from time to time, though. So don't beat yourself up too much. Because I know I've done it, and I'm sure a lot of other people out there, people who are watching this,
Yeah.
have
So
done it
I
too.
don't think I've told you this before. So in that same time frame, my cousin was very close to him too. He was actually the only boy cousin that lived in town. So they were really close. And we both played hooky from school one day. We just faked being sick, and it wasn't planned or anything. So my aunt had stayed home from work, and my mom dropped me off at their house. And my cousin decided we were going to go outside and climb a tree. Okay. He used a block to get up in the tree, so that's how I tried to get up in there too. And I ended up slipping and falling, and I landed on the block.
Oh my God.
I ended up cracking some ribs, and I didn't tell my mom until days later when I was having problems breathing. She had no idea. So yeah, so when she finally took me to the doctor after I told her and was complaining a lot, they just kind of looked at her like, "How did you not know she fell out of a tree?"
Right? Oh my
But I was
God.
that kid.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I was such a tomboy. Yeah.
that's where we're opposites because I was a total girly girl.
Oh no, I was outside playing football with the neighborhood boys, like tackle football. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean you get some aggression out that way.
Right? True.
Yeah. So, do you use tattoos as therapy?
I do.
Me too.
I do. Every
Yeah.
time I make a tattoo appointment, I think of it as like a therapy session.
To me, it's pain that I can control.
And that
I
is,
I
yes,
chose that.
that is key. I started using tattoos for a few reasons. Number one, I like them. I think they look cool. I always wanted tattoos. Ever since I was a kid, I knew when I got old enough, I would get some tattoos. I didn't necessarily plan to be as covered as I am. I plan to be more covered, but it's process. Um, I self harmed in high school. The last time I was actively self harming, I was 17. So it's been almost 20 years. Next summer, I think will be 20 years because I'm about to turn 37. Um, and then once I stopped that, and then I turned 18, I started using tattoos as a way of kind of coping. Like, and then as I got older and I got more, because I really only originally, like I said, planned on getting a few, so it was not like a super common thing for me back then, or frequent, I should say. And then once I got into my early 20s and I really got into it and started thinking of like more things that I wanted, I kind of used it almost like a reward system for myself. Like, hey, if you really try and
Yep.
you do well and you do your therapy and you work on this about yourself and that about yourself or whatever, like you can get this tattoo. And it was, it just kind of went on from there. And now I use it as a therapy, like a spa day
It's
almost.
just a reward. It's an adult sticker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's your little
adults deserve
pat on the
stickers.
back, you know.
Adulting
I,
is tough.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of done the same thing. I went probably, I want to say around 15 years with no self harm. And I was
Which is a
going
big
through
accomplishment. I'm
it.
proud.
It is. And I wasn't really big on anything specific. One of the things that I didn't want to, that I said that I'm not really ready to discuss, but it was still part of self harm.
Mm-hmm.
But the cutting aspect,
Yeah.
it came back, and my first tattoo was my wrist tattoo, my reminder, my Hanson tattoo,
Mm-hmm.
is the reminder not to cut.
Yep.
Because that song when I was 15 literally saved my life. And so I
Yes.
decided to have the title of that song with the semicolon and the heart rhythm and all of that tied together as my first tattoo in the same place that I used to cut. I'm
Mm-hmm.
covering up I'm covering up scars, and anytime I look at that space, if I feel like I want or need to now, I have to look at that tattoo.
Yep.
And that's my reminder, oh yeah, we don't do that anymore. We just go get
I,
another tattoo.
I did the same thing with my lemon tattoo. My lemons on my arm right here. Maybe I'll do like a video of it on our TikTok. But I have lemons and there's a ribbon around them and it says at least it gave you something. Like when life
Mm-hmm.
gives you lemons.
Right.
So yeah, like at least it gave you something. Like to remind myself like, hey, it has not all been bad. Like yes, you have been through a lot,
Yeah.
but it's not all been bad. You are still here and there are still good things on the way, you know.
Might be
And then
bitter,
I
might
can
be sour
celebrate with
for a
my
minute,
lemonade.
but yeah.
So yeah, definitely tattoos are a big thing. Music. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I ironically enough really started getting into podcasts. I said it just fine then when the pressure was off. How come I couldn't say it in our dang intro? I got into podcasts in 2021 when I started listening to Armchair Expert, Dax Shepard's podcast, and I was like, hey, you know what? This is
Okay.
really cool. You know, because before then I was all about like music, like listening to music all the time as a
Yep.
coping mechanism or whatever, coping skill, whatever, coping tool. There we go. There we go. I knew I could
Therapy.
get the word, but
Yep. Music is therapy.
podcast music is therapy, and then podcasts can also be therapy because I get to listen to people talk about their life experiences and things that they've overcome. Or there's, you know, there's the more lighthearted ones that I just, if I come home from a long day and I just want to watch something that's going to make me laugh, you know, like there's all different kinds of podcasts out there. There's this one right here that's going to be super healing for me. I feel like for both of us,
Yeah.
hopefully for a lot of people. But yeah, music and podcasts are my two main things. I used to write a lot as a young child. I think I wrote my first poem when I was like 7 years old. So I always just kind of had a thing for writing, and I still do. Um, so there's that. Yeah, any sort of creative outlets are kind of are my jam. I was a theater kid. I 100,000% would not be. I wouldn't have made it through as unscathed as I was when I wasn't unscathed. I don't know what the word would be, but I a major contributing factor into to my survival growing up was the community theater that I did 30 productions at within a 12-year time span.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started at the age of 10, did my last one when I was 22, and you know, I was life happened and everything, you know, you get busy or whatever with other things. But yeah, the theater, I really loved acting. It was fun to get into character, and that was another thing. I like my fascination with psychology too, to like get into a character and to understand,
Hmm.
you know, where they're coming from, and you know what's happening in the story and everything.
That's what
So
I loved about photography, being able to be someone and express not just yourself, but to talk with a photographer and being able to, you know, be that image for them or whatever, like role playing.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, for
That was
sure.
definitely therapeutic in my 20s. Now, do I regret some things? Obviously, but
Yeah. No,
um,
I remember when you were doing all that, and I used to get
yeah.
so excited when you would post like the pictures from your photo shoots and stuff. I was so proud of you. I was excited for you.
That was such a crazy time. I networked with so many awesome people, but then there was some real like sketchy, like, oh God, what did I get myself into? Let me get out of here
Hmm.
kind of stuff too. And it's like,
I
oh God.
I had another friend too around that same time, ironically, who got herself involved with some sketchy people doing the same thing you did. You know, started
I think
modeling
I
and
remember
networking
you
and stuff,
talking
and
about it.
yeah, and yeah, she really she backed out of it because she had a super traumatic experience, and I remember her telling me about it and showing me like the messages from the conversations and stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, okay,
Oh yeah,
this
some of
is
these
you know,
people are just, they're nasty. There's no other word for it. They're just nasty.
yeah, yeah."
And the
And,
way things are portrayed, it's just, it's not okay. But anyway,
mhm. Yeah, no, and it's scary. I think every industry, I'm sure, has that,
oh yeah.
especially entertainment industry, but like any, you know, anywhere you go, you're gonna find the good people and the bad. Take the good and the bad and the ugly or whatever, however it goes. Yeah. So yeah, big thing is just finding your niche and what you enjoy, what feeds your soul, as cheesy as that sounds, and just kind of finding constructive outlets, things that'll elevate your life. I'm not really sure where I was going with that.
Well,
It
I
was
mean,
a profound
okay,
thought. You get it though.
so
You
no,
get
I
it.
do. And to just kind of like add to that, when I was a teenager, I loved drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. Couldn't draw people. But if I was to look at an image or something, I could take colored pencils and replicate that in my sketchbook. I had a
Mm-hmm.
friend that went to England and she sent me a postcard, and I replicated, like, I drew, the postcard and things like that. And now, at that time, that was therapeutic. Now I love going to the painting classes.
Yes, I've done a few of those.
Absolutely love it. And I don't know about you. Even when I was a kid, if I had a coloring book and crayons, I could have all the time in the world. But I was
Mm-hmm.
always in my head rushing through it. Gotta hurry, gotta finish it. I have to sit here. I can't get up, and I have to color the whole page until it's completed. I can't stop. Even though there
Mm-hmm.
was nothing holding me back.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning I was kind of that way with drawing and painting. But now I've learned it's okay. You can step away. Why are you in a hurry? You're not on time frame. Why do you think this way? And it's all part of it. I think is the ADHD. But I have that mentality of got to do it, got to get it done, do it right now, or it won't get done. You'll do something halfway, set it to the side, and you'll never come back to it. I just
Yeah.
had an epiphany right in the middle of our podcast. Like, that's exactly what that is. It's all about not procrastinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I know me. Because if I know that if I stop doing something, I'm never going to finish it.
Mm-hmm. Been there too.
Wow.
Yep. I have been there too. Different stories I've written, song lyrics, poetry, anything. I get a
Yep.
really good idea, really start, developing the character arcs, the story arcs, all this, I can see everything so vividly, and then life gets busy and I set it down for a while, and it's like I don't get back to it, and then I find it, and then, you know, it's hard to get back into the groove of it sometimes.
Yeah. And all these crazy ideas come to me at like 4 o'clock in the morning when I can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like in my phone typing all this stuff up. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, what?
Right. That's
And
the best
sometimes
hour for I wake up at 3:30 a.m. almost every day and cannot fall back asleep because I wake up and my mind is automatically just going, going, going.
usually I can wake up and then roll over and go right back to sleep. But on the days that, that I can't, I have
Mm-hmm.
these thoughts that I have to just, I keep a journal. I either write it down or I put it in a note in my phone to, like, if it's just like one thought or something, like, okay, I can come back to that later on. There's no sense in writing it down. I'll just put it in my phone real quick and, go about my day or whatever it is that I'm doing. And it might be a week, 2, 6 months before I'll look back at it and then be like, oh yeah.
And sometimes you stumble upon it again when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just
Like,
it's a good thing, but it's just not the right time for it. And then when it is time to
yeah.
revisit it, it pops back up.
Yep. So not to be like morbid or anything. So my grandmother passed away in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
She had dementia, but she had fallen and had a brain bleed and succumbed to that injury. But I don't know, maybe 4 months prior to her falling, I knew the dementia was progressing and it was only like a matter of time. And so I had this thought of, you're going to write her eulogy and you're going to speak at her funeral. I'm not a big fan of public speaking. Like the older I get, the
Mm-hmm.
more comfortable I get with it. But it's like I want to stand up in front of, a whole lot of people. And then it ended up being COVID. So there wasn't a whole lot of people there, but it was recorded and all that. Anyway, I started having all these different thoughts and ideas. And like I said, I'd put it in my phone, I'd leave it for a week, come back to it. So by the time that she passed away and it was time to put it all together, it was basically finished. So all these parts and pieces were coming to me, not knowing when her time was going to come, but it all flowed together so well. I got so many compliments on it. I had people coming to me afterwards crying about it. I want you to type this up for me. If you don't mind, please send this to me. It was beautiful. I want to share this with, other people that couldn't make it, that wanted to be there. And that really meant a lot.
That's amazing.
I'll have to share it with you. I'll have to find it and share that with you. But I mean, I love writing. It's very therapeutic for me. It's a really more of a reflection, and that helps me see how much I've grown. Not even just through the bipolar journey, but just life in general.
Yeah.
And have a better understanding of maybe my thought process back then versus what it is now. And it's just very therapeutic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think even like just journaling in general, or just like getting a journal and doing like stream of conscious writing, like not even thinking about it, just like writing what's on your mind and just letting it flow,
Go
and
with the
really
flow.
like no
It
rhyme or
just
reason
pours
or
out.
anything. Just
Yep.
to get your thoughts out, to get your feelings out on paper so you can look at them and process them, or just shut the book and be like, okay, I got that. I physically got that out. That was my outlet, and now I can move forward with my day or go to sleep or whatever, whatever it is.
Yeah. It's kind of what I've had my youngest child do. He had a friend pass away.
Yes.
And I've told him, you can journal if you want. That's helped me. I said, or, you can write your thoughts down on a piece of paper, and then we can start the fire pit and you can burn it.
I've done that before too.
Burn,
That is a really good
burn
way.
those thoughts.
That is a really good way to, like, even just like negative thoughts in general, or like things that you're like scared of or worried about, something that's giving you anxiety, like write down your triggers and just, or whatever. It doesn't have to be a trigger, but just, write down whatever it is that you want to purge, that's not serving you, and just throw it into the fire and just watch it burn.
You're releasing it. It's no longer
Yes.
of use to you, and it's gone.
Don't let it weigh you down anymore. Yeah. Absolutely.
I need to do that, actually.
Yeah.
I need to let some things go.
I was just thinking about that too. Like, I haven't done that for a while. That's a good idea. Or just throw it in the garbage. If you can't start a fire, crumple it up, rip the piece of paper up, and just throw it in the garbage. Do whatever it takes to get it out of your system. Whatever works for you. These are just suggestions. I mean, for those of you out there who are like, oh, well, that wouldn't really work for me or whatever. It's fine. Find what works for you. Find what works for you. And if you need people to
I used to tell
talk
my kids, I would tell my kids.
Yeah.
I would tell the kids all the time, if there's something bothering you, you will never get in trouble for screaming in your pillow.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you can't come to me, if you can't talk to anybody about it, you're just so frustrated, you will never get in trouble for screaming in your pillow. I'm going to come check on you because you're screaming.
Right. I'm going to
But
be there and make sure you're
you
not
know,
alone in that and
you
make sure you're
always
okay.
have, yeah, like you always have that outlet.
Yes.
And that worked for them for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I watch movies that I know are going to trigger me to cry.
Yep. Oh, I do the same thing.
Just because
Or
I need to
episodes
cry
of different
for,
shows.
for no reason. Just, yep. There's a
Mm-hmm.
couple of different episodes of Grey's Anatomy that I'll pull up and watch just because, you know, they've killed off a character and it's like, oh my God, this is my favorite character, you know, so
Yep.
that's a trigger. Fried Green Tomatoes is another one.
Oh my God, that movie.
The
Oh,
the scene
yes.
where they're at the cemetery and Sally Field's like, but why does it have to be, you know, her? I can't imagine losing a child.
I think you're thinking of
I
Steel
just
Magnolias.
uh,
You're
yes
thinking
I
of
am.
Steel
Why did I say Fried Green
Magnolias.
Tomatoes? Yes I am.
Fried Green Tomatoes is a good one, and Steel
Those are two
Magnolias.
two of
Both
my
of them.
favorite movies.
I
But
would put them
still,
at the same level. They are on the same
Fried Green
tier of
Tomatoes is
good
sad
movies. Where are
too.
my hands right there?
Yes they are. Yeah. Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
So, you know, when she died and Iggy realized that she was gone, that was sad too. But yeah, no, I think Steel Magnolias though was more of a trigger.
Fun fact. Speaking of my theater days, one of the last productions I ever did was a production of Steel Magnolias, and I got to play Annelle, Daryl Hannah's character.
Really? Oh my gosh, a
Yeah.
hairdresser.
And I got to wear a pair of really fun glasses like she had in the beginning of the movie, and then I got to go through the whole transformation when she got hot, you know,
Oh my god.
and all that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. That
She learned how to
production,
straighten her hair.
that production was one of the best experiences of my life. Everyone that worked on it, getting to play that character, like just the story itself, um, the theater production, all of the scenes take place in the salon, but it's still very similar to the movie. Obviously, they're not going to have the whole movie. You know, when they make a movie out of it, they're not going to just make it all in one place. But a lot of the scenes were the same. A lot of the dialogue, the story was still the same. But yeah, that was one of the best experiences I've ever had, ever, not just in theater. Just yeah. And that was I was 21. That was the year I got diagnosed with bipolar. That was a few months actually after my diagnosis, and that kind of helped me get through the initial because it was hard at first when I first got diagnosed. I was like, oh my God, like I didn't understand it fully. Like I knew kind of what bipolar was. I didn't understand it fully though, and you know, it's a scary thing. I think no matter what age, but to be super young like that and to
Yeah.
not really know myself and to have a undiagnosed borderline personality disorder, which you know you don't really know what your identity is when you have that either, and then just being young in general and still trying to you know navigate adulthood first few years out of
I
high
was
school.
relieved. I felt
I was
nothing
too.
but
Once
relief.
I came to terms with it, it took a little bit, but at first I was terrified. For me personally, it was a very scary thing because I was like, oh my God, there is really something wrong with me. And then when I realized, like, I've actually known for years that there was something wrong with me, I just didn't know what it was. And now that I do know what it
Yep.
is, I can do something about it and learn about it. And you know, to actually put a name to it, like, okay, this is an actual
Yeah.
thing. And you know, there's so many other people that have it, and there's a lot of success stories out there. So it's, you know, it is possible to still do well.
Yeah. I grew up around it a little bit. There's a couple of people that I know that have it, but it was always just, I hate the stigma, but oh, they're just crazy.
Yep. Oh, that word.
They're just having
We'll have to do a
they're just
whole
having an
episode on the
episode.
word
They're just,
crazy.
you know, yeah. But I mean, I even had like when I was diagnosed and was telling people that are close to me, hey, this is what they've said, you know, whatever. It was, I knew it. Yeah, I could have told you, even the kids were like, well, I could have told you that. So
Yeah.
when it's you don't see it.
Right.
You don't recognize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took a long time of me like really researching and finding my patterns and stuff. I'm like, okay, here's this symptom, or I definitely meet this criteria because this, and this has happened, or I did these things, or I reacted in this way, or, you know, didn't handle that very well, or, you know, whatever it is, you know, and it really takes a while for you to kind of take a step back and like look at yourself kind of more objectively, as far as, you know, or as opposed to
I
when you're in that moment, it's like you've got blinders on because you're too close up. But once you can kind of step away and see the overall picture, it's like, okay, that's what was going on there.
think a lot of mine, I don't know, the first, was it 6, 7 months, I went through 5 different medications before we found the right one for me. So I was able to see and recognize within all those medication changes, different symptoms manifest. And that was crazy. I've never been one to just go shopping just for the heck of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I go out somewhere, if I can't get it on Amazon or the grocery store, I don't need it. But I was finding myself making excuses to go somewhere after work and spend money. You know, and it's like stuff that I didn't even need. Like, what are you doing? I would catch myself. Why are
Yeah.
we even here? What are we doing? And I'd put it back and I'd leave like, oh my God, this is not okay. You know, and we would talk about it in my next session with the psychiatrist. Okay, this is what we did this week. This is not okay. How do we fix this? Because this wasn't going on before I started this medication. Or
Mm-hmm.
I would have, there was one episode of anaphylaxis with one of the medicines. And then one in that drug class, I had just a regular allergic reaction, just the rash, but the anaphylaxis was scary.
Yeah.
That was really scary. I had come home. I'd actually done a photo shoot with a photographer friend of mine that we were going to do like a series because he's really into mental health too and
I
promoting
remember
it
that.
and all that. And I got one photo session out of that. And I just remember I'd been on the medicine for 2 weeks with no problems. And while I was there, he asked me 2 or 3 different times, are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? You seem a little scattered. Okay. No, I feel fine. I get home and I'm changing my clothes and pretty much from like my chin down was covered. They weren't really blisters, but it was more than a rash. And then I really started paying attention to other things. And I was like, oh God, what in the world? And then it really started to itch. And then my tongue felt swollen. And that was when, okay, we've got to go to the hospital because this is not okay.
Yeah.
Thankfully, at that time, I wasn't having any issues breathing, but I knew if my tongue was starting to swell, we were about to have some issues. So, yeah, I got my first EpiPen. And we came off the medication. I've not had a problem since. So that was
Good.
terrifying. I think my heart rate got up to like 180 beats a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's scary stuff.
Of course,
I didn't know that part.
yeah. I mean,
I
well,
remember the
just
photo
not.
shoot.
Yeah. It's crazy because I took the medication in the morning, and that was like early afternoon. I think I got home somewhere around 5 p.m. and I had drove because the studio was like 45 minutes away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did I have that distance, but I also had to drive through rush hour traffic because it was during the week.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I felt perfectly fine. Like I said, it wasn't until I got home and was changing clothes that I saw the rash and everything else.
Yeah.
That's just crazy how, you take something for like 2 weeks and no issue. And then all of a sudden one day, just not only are you allergic to it, but you're having anaphylaxis.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it could have been a lot
that's
worse.
another key is finding the right meds, or if you're like me, not taking meds and using like uh DBT therapy, and just other using your other coping skills, Meds aren't for everyone. Sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
need them. It's tough to find the right ones. Sometimes the right combination, the right dosage, it takes time to find all that.
And I didn't know this too, like in doing research myself, not only do you need just your antidepressant, for type 2, but you need that mood stabilizer.
Yes.
And I didn't have that. Like that was never talked about, even with my
Mm-hmm.
primary care doctor. I don't know about where you are, but down here, a primary care doctor will not diagnose a mental health disorder
Right.
of any kind. They have to refer you out to the psychiatrist to make a formal diagnosis.
I'm
So,
not sure about where I'm at. It might be the same, but I've never been diagnosed by a primary care physician. Oh, well, other than my depression, but the depression runs in my
yeah,
family, and that was pretty
yeah,
obvious. That was like I didn't need a psychiatrist to diagnose me with that. But the rest of it,
yeah,
that was all mental health professionals.
yeah. And was not really weird, but he called it manic depression when he
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed me with it years ago. And then now manic depression is bipolar 2,
Yeah.
but they can't diagnose it or couldn't, whatever. But yeah,
Right.
he's the one that prescribed the depression medication, and then was like, you got to go over here to have them, whether it's an antipsychotic or whatever. They had me on anti-seizure medication because it also helps with bipolar symptoms.
Yep.
Thankfully, like I said, I'm on the right combination now, but that was a rough first 6-7 months trying to function and not being able to work because I couldn't function, and just trying to get adjusted to the meds. And that was hard. That made me
Yeah.
spiral too.
Oh yeah. That
We
was
we
good.
we've talked about that even throughout that whole ordeal earlier this year. It's just taking me out of my job took my identity away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because when
And
you're doing something for that long and then all of a sudden you're not doing it anymore, it's like, what am I even supposed to do now? Who am I?
well, I feel like I was caught off guard
It
in
was
that
abrupt. I
situation.
remember. Yeah.
That was so abrupt.
Yeah.
I can't fault them. I understand why, I had to step away. And that's fine. But to do it in the way that it was done, that just, to me, that made it 10 times worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've heard other stories of other people talking, you know, on their TikToks with their journeys and stuff about how, they've had to step away from their jobs because they just can't function at all, period. They can't even like DoorDash because they can't leave their house and just different stuff like that. They can't work from home because they have issues with like even talking to people on the phone. I can't imagine it being that severe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are brave.
There's just so many different levels of it. And some people are just so, when it's not you, you're so quick to judge and be like, well, how can you not pick up the phone and talk to somebody?
Right.
My kid deals with that. There's still times that I have to, my 21-year-old, I have to call their doctor and make an appointment because they're too afraid to talk to somebody on the telephone, and I have to walk them through that. Like, look, you have to learn how to do these things. We've got to get through the anxiety. It's not a matter of being lazy, like people want to label it, and not wanting to just do something for themselves. Don't give me that. It's not. If you couldn't live one day in my shoes. And I know you feel the same way. Like you just, no. I don't get it. Some people are just better at masking and compartmentalizing all these feelings and putting it in the file cabinet in their brain in the back. And that's fine. If you can do that and that works for you, that's great. But me, I have to feel my feelings. I have to work through them and let them go. I have this whole process. I have the whole process that I have to go through. Otherwise, it's going to eat at me my entire life. And I can't do that.
Yep.
I have no room to judge. And I don't need other people's judgment. Life is hard enough. I just feel like there's so many other things that you could be doing. Put your energy somewhere else. Don't judge me. Why waste your time on me? Go do something else.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I know where you're coming from. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, I'm not sure how long we've actually been at this right now, but this was a pleasant surprise. We covered more than I expected for our first episode.
I think it's a good first start, though.
I absolutely
opened up a lot of conversations for the future.
This felt very, very natural. Other than my my fumble with our intro, I apologize for that. But yeah, those of you who are still here, thank you for being here. We have a whole bunch of stuff planned that I think is really gonna resonate with people. I feel like
I'm really interested, like if there's topics or questions or whatever that anybody has about our journey specifically, or thoughts and opinions or recommendations, whatever. I'm open to whatever. So
drop some comments, like and subscribe. Any questions you guys have for us? I would love to do like a Q&A episode every once in a while to kind of gather up people's questions and stuff. Any other comments, anything that's resonated with you that we've touched on, or anything else that you guys feel like you want to add, or you want us to talk about in upcoming episodes, or anything, as long as you're kind about it.
No judgment zone.
No judgment, no cruelty. Don't be a jerk, please. There's no This is a jerk free zone. Sorry, as I relax, some more of my personality will come through. I didn't want to scare people off right
Yep.
away, but yeah, don't be a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, welcome everyone. This is going to be awesome. Any final thoughts from you, Rachel? I think that's all from me for now.
I mean, I just want to reiterate that neither one of us are professionals
Right.
in mental
Yes,
health at all. This is just strictly from our journeys, just two friends that share diagnosis and coming from different aspects, and just wanting to raise awareness and stop the stigma.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And be cycle breakers.
Yeah.
I would like my kids when they're older to realize, like, wow, my mom grew up so differently from us, but she made a point to change that, to break the toxic cycles and everything. I would like my kids to be able to say that about me someday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a perfect mom. I try very hard to be a good one. But
You don't have to be a victim of your circumstances.
Exactly. Exactly. We can't choose where we came from, but we can choose where we go from there.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Well, this seems like a good spot to conclude our episode for the week. Ring the bell so you get notifications from us. And yeah, just let us know in the comments what you think. Or comment whatever. Comment your favorite color.
Be kind.
Anything. Be kind. Be kind. Rewind. Rewind and watch this episode again.
Right.
Because this was
And
so
watch
much
it again,
fun. And
and
it's fun
again.
to laugh at me at the beginning because I completely lost my words and lost my ability to speak there for a few seconds. So, all right. Well,
It'll be okay. It's all right.
We will see you guys next time. We're gonna think of an outro too, because this is awkward. We got to think of an intro and an outro, and then practice it. And I got to practice talking, which I do every day. I don't know how much more practice I need. I talk all day every day.
Just keep saying the word podcast over and over again.
Podcast. There we go. I'm just gonna practice that. I'm gonna dream about that word tonight. So, all right. Well, have a good week, everybody, and we will see you next time. Peace and love. And
thanks for watching.
Thanks. Bye. Oh.